I'm Atypical, and this is a review. So, as you can tell from the title, I'll be reviewing Avatar: The Legend of Korra. I'll be doing Season 1, which I just rewatched. Not, today. Today, I went and played Dagger here, which is like a full contact LARP combat simulator. Really fun. I'm in pain. But yeah, I'll be reviewing. I got my notes that I rewrote because I rewatched the series. I'm in my new apartment, which is nice. I moved in. Spoiler warning for Season 1 and maybe Season 2, 3, and 4 of Legend of Korra, and trigger warnings for sexual assault, self-harm, and suicide. I will be briefly touching upon them. It's not like a big thing in the show, but, there were some allegories, and I want to talk about them. So, if those are things you don't want to hear, then don't watch the video. Oh, I guess, most of the video is fine. Okay, I'm going to try and remember to tell you when that comes up. I'll just let you know, and then you can stop watching there. There's a particular scene, and after that, near the end. Oh, I should probably put a timer on, because last time I thought I had gone 30 minutes, and it was only 20. I'm going to try and keep it down to 20 minutes, though, starting now, or, 10 seconds ago. Anyway, so I just also rewatched, my old review, and I covered a lot of what I didn't like about Season 1, that being Amon as a waterbender, which didn't make any fucking sense. I swear a lot. I noticed that from rewatching that review. I've been rewatching a couple because I should probably look at what I do so I can critique myself and do better. I'm not going to stop swearing, but I swear a lot. So if you don't want your kids hearing this, then don't let them watch it. Simple as that. So we're gonna go, down the line. First thing, I was talking to my roommate, well, flatmate. I just moved into my new apartment. You know that. I was talking to them and about this. What is that? What am I bumping into? I don't know. Whenever I swivel my chair, I'm bumping into something and I can't find it. What was I talking about? This is really annoying. I have no idea what. I'm sorry. It's only when I'm sitting down. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. It's gone. All right. Nope, it's back. This is so weird. I can't concentrate. I'm sorry. I spent a couple minutes on that. And I'm just not gonna swivel. I can't stand up because I'm not wearing pants, so whatever. Crap, where was I talking? Okay, yeah. So I rewatched it. I rewatched the review. I talked a lot about how I didn't like Amon being a waterbender, but I think I got around it. I also couldn't figure out how to end the show. Now I know how to end, or the season. Now I know how to end the season. Don't know how to start Season 2 though. because you know my whole shtick is I changed the story in a way that I think would work better. And yeah, that's why you listen, I assume. I mean, maybe you listen because I'm hilarious, or maybe you listen because, I don't know, I tell you to listen because, I don't know, I've been posting this on Facebook. Anyway, yeah, so I didn't like that Amon was a waterbender. He's way cooler as a non-waterbender, as a non-bender. Just, you know, a guy who can take people's bending away. Just a masterful chi blocker who uses the light chakra, which deals with insight and is blocked by deception. Yeah, that was a cool idea. I stick by it. That's how I think he should have chi blocked. He's a chi blocker. Because I was thinking, if he's not a chi blocker, how did he teach people how to become a chi blocker? Doesn't make any sense, does it? I mean, yeah, maybe he's a chi blocker and a bloodbender, but why would he do that other than to do exactly what he did? Maybe. I don't like it though. I think he's a chi blocker. Anyway, yeah, let's just go to like the changes that I'd make, and then I'll talk about systematic oppression because that was a big theme. I like that. They could have gone further into that, and that could have been the theme of the entire series because there was a lot of it. You know what? I'll talk about that. Systematic oppression. Yo, they in Republic City hyper specialize. Like almost exclusively, the police are metal benders. Almost exclusively, you would think that. I mean, as far as we can see, all of the shop owners are non-benders. All the benders have bending jobs. Power generation is done by lightning benders, which I think is really cool that lightning bending is becoming more of a thing, because I'll get into one reason later, but a second reason, which I guess is the first reason, education. It used to be that people thought only the royal bloodline could lightning bend, but they only thought that because only the royal bloodline had the education to lightning bend. Now that the techniques are becoming more widespread with the printing press and increased literacy, more firebenders are learning that they're lightning benders, including Mako, which is really cool. I just remembered there's a thing in my notes that isn't there, which I'll touch on later. Maybe I'll forget it, but you know, it's not important. Anyway, yeah, systematic oppression is a thing. People see it. It becomes more prevalent as the series goes on. Non-benders are seen eventually as, you know, equalists, terrorists. Every non-bender is potentially a terrorist, and so the government just says, all right, they're all terrorists, every one of them. Which, yeah, that's horrible. Later in the series, they touch a bit on it in season 2, like the cultural whatever. I guess they're not systematic oppression. I mean, kind of. The North kind of rules over the South, despite, you know, not at all being a part of the South. The water tribes. Yeah, systematic oppression was a major theme and could have been the major theme, but, you know, whatever. Some other stuff. Why did I turn this off? Yeah, gangs are rampant for some reason, which I guess, you know, in any major city that is a thing. But they're all like bending gangs. There are no non-bending gangs other than the the equalists. I mean, they're clearly, you know, non-bending, or I guess not clearly. We don't know if that kid, I don't remember his name. Episode 3 is a kid who Scoochie. His name was Scoochie. So Scoochie, it's not clear if he's a bender or not, or any of those other urchins. But it seems organized crime is completely done by benders, and like exclusively. It is probably a thing that doctors are more likely to be. No. Waterbenders are more likely to be doctors. No, waterbending doctors are more likely to get higher up than non-waterbending doctors. And waterbending doctors with the healing subtype have an even better chance, like Katara, the best healer in the world. So waterbender with the healing subtype. So people in jobs like hospitals who work at hospitals and want to get the residency, or I don't know how hospitals work, want to become a surgeon or something, way more likely to get higher up and become the head of a hospital if they're a healing waterbender. That's just a thing, probably. Another thing is the metal benders. Yeah, there is a non-bending cop. We see that cop in the park, clearly a non-bender. But he's the lone cop at a park, not high up at all. He never will be. Seasson, Lin, presumably the person who came before Lin, if that wasn't Toph, and Toph are all metal benders. So in the history of Republic City, as far as we know, every police chief has been a metal bender. All the high-ranking police officers have been metal benders. Like there's such hyper specialization, which makes it really easy for people to plan a revolution. Like metal benders are taken out by magnets and platinum in key places. Yeah. So the police force was taken out overnight. Well, it was day, but whatever. Taken out immediately because it's really easy to do that. I think that most of the council was non-benders, but we don't really see that. We can only see that they don't bend. We don't see that they're non-benders. I'm going to assume they're not, because if they were, then they'd probably have fought back when they were kidnapped. Maybe not. Yeah, so the Sato family, an affluent, wealthy family, I assume they're Fire Nation, because they're maybe not. Asami seems like she's probably got some Fire Nation blood in her, like based on how she looks. I mean, the nations don't really have clear-cut ethnic groups, but Fire Nation people tend to be paler, and she is pale. They tend to have black hair, and she has black hair. I know Mako and Bolin both have black hair, but they're also Fire Nation guys. They're also pretty pale. And I know this isn't 100% true or across the board, but that's the trend that I remember. I don't remember very much about all of it. So, don't quote me. But anyway, that's not even the point of what I'm saying. So yeah, she's, probably a Fire Nation chick, with a Fire Nation father. I mean, she was born in Republic City, probably, but that's beside the point. I'm rambling. Fuck. And we're 12 minutes in. Anyway, so, as a non-bender, being, accused of being a terrorist because of you not being able to bend, that's a thing that she has to deal with. her father has to deal with. I mean, he is an equalist, but whatever. I kind of saw it as like when she lashes out against the police, be like, "Hey, you've done enough damage," and then they come back to look under the shed. I felt like she was reacting to microaggressions. I'm not an expert on microaggressions, nor do I think I ever will be an expert, but it's something I noticed. Um, non-benders are at a disadvantage, both, ability-wise and everything else, really. I mean, they are very wealthy, but I guess you had to give something to them, because otherwise, if they're just like just a poor guy, he wouldn't be who he was, Hiroshi, if he wasn't wealthy. He wouldn't be like this. He'd probably be the same man out for revenge against benders, but he wouldn't be able to enact it because he's wealthy. He gives Amon the ability to have the tanks and the shock gloves and the shock sticks and the cool uniforms and all that crap. But yeah, it's kind of weird to see that. Also, like as a captain of industry and capitalism, Hiroshi is very into communism, which is like partial communism, not like actual communism, but like very much into like, hey, brothers and sisters, which is really weird for all of them to start saying. It made them feel more like a cult. He's like, hey, we'll all be equal, even though I'm way richer than you, but we'll be equal because no one will have bending. Fight the power. It was weird. And they just, people just went along with it too. Like they're just like, yep, this, super rich guy is telling us what to do, but he gives us equipment so that we can do what we want. So yeah, I'm okay with this. Yeah, the power outage was pretty clear of systematic oppression, just treating all of the non-benders as if they're terrorists, because it's way easier than treating them like people. Yeah, that's all the time I have for systematic oppression. Now I'm going to talk about what I change. Okay, to start, Amon has 4 lieutenants, not 1, because having only 1 lieutenant doesn't make a lot of sense. You can't delegate nearly as well. And also, it would be really cool to see some other cool things that, some of the equalists, like some of the weapons and fighting styles that they might have. Really cool to have like electric whip, like from Iron Man 2. That was a really cool weapon they could have used. Like they already have shock sticks. I'm gonna call Lieutenant, that's his name in the show, shock sticks, because he has shock sticks. And there's now 4 lieutenants. I think it would be really cool. These are the lieutenants I think they should have had. Shock sticks, number 1. Hiroshi Sato, number 2. Like a lightning whip person for number 3, and then some sort of archer for number 4. Yeah, 4. That's 4 people. Plus, then when Amon raises up out of platforms or on platforms into stadiums, he's there are people behind him, but only one of them is ever different. It's always shock sticks, and then 5 other minions. I think it'd be really cool to have like 4 different people who are clearly like just below Amon, not these identical people. And then in later parts of the series, I mean, they wouldn't have a lot of screen time. Hiroshi would get the same amount. Lieutenant, who I'm calling Shocksticks, would get about the same amount, and then maybe like the other two would get a bit, not a whole lot. Like, they wouldn't be important characters. But it would be cooler to have more different ways of fighting for equalists. Because, hyper specialization is what brought the downfall of the bending establishment. Hyper specialization, actually, no, not even hyper specialization, just everyone is good at all the same stuff. Then that also is detrimental, because then you only protect against one thing, and then you're good. It's all fine. That's bad. Anyway, so there's 4 lieutenants. I think there should be. Amon is not Noatak. His name is Amon. He was a farm boy. His father was harassed by a firebender constantly. He, stood up to him. He died. Amon saw it. Firebender burned his face. And maybe not. He found spirits and they told him, hey, the avatars failed the world. I don't think that's would be a thing. I wouldn't like it if that were true. I think the avatar should be the avatar and not have Amon the second avatar. I wouldn't like that. Yeah, he's not a bloodbender. He just chi blocks people right here, making them think that they can't bend anymore. And I think this is way cooler, as that I mentioned in my previous review. But when Tarlok is bending him with blood bending him, it's way cooler if he's not a bender. It's way cooler if he's just a guy walking through being bloodbended. Bloodbent? Blood. Yeah. Some other things. I would have liked to see Hiroshi Sato conspiring with Amon. In the arena during the finals of the pro bending, what they could have done is have him leave his seat. Like, he was clearly there. Have him leave his seat and get dressed into his lieutenant clothes, and then have him be there in his lieutenant clothes behind Amon. Like, I mean, come on, that's simple stuff. And it would show that Korra's random accusation of him being an equalist isn't so random, because she randomly accuses him of being an equalist and happens to be right. Like, she has no reason to think what she thinks, but she thinks it because the plot demands it. It's one of the, besides Amon being a bloodbender, it's one of the things I hate the most about the show. And, like, Lieutenant Shocksticks, he has this very specific mustache. You would recognize that mustache if you had seen it before in a fight. And you just see him on the streets, you're like, yo, that's Shocksticks. This is the same guy. He's the same height, build, mustache. It's him. And I think they could have done the same thing with Hiroshi, because he's a very distinct mustache. They could have made it more distinct, and then Korra would be like, oh my god, I totally saw him with Amon on stage. Holy crap, your dad is an equalist, Asami. You need to do something about that. And I'm going to bring in the police. And then, yeah, that would have been better. I would have liked that better. Oh well. So, in episode 11, I think Amon should have caught the airbenders. Like, I know Lin does this cool sacrifice thing, but then they're just randomly caught. We don't get to see it. We don't get to know about it, and it's kind of forced and ham-fisted. Yeah, I would have liked to not have it be that way. Yeah, maybe at like the very end of episode 11. Even you don't even have to show them fighting. You can just be like, yeah, they were caught. Here's them being caught, or them already have them already have been caught. Whatever. Language sucks. Though it's also really helpful because if I didn't have language, I couldn't talk to you. Yeah, then have that be known to the Avatar. Be like, hey, at the rally, we're gonna cleanse the world of airbending, and then he cleanses the world of airbending, or attempts to, and that's why Korra goes instead of her, randomly deciding she's gonna fight him again after having lost to him last time, and I guess she didn't know he was a bloodbender at that point. But anyway, just being like, hey, I'm gonna fight you IRL. It would have made more sense to me if she's like, oh shit, well, we have to go destroy the airfield, but we also have to go save the airbenders. Team Avatar splitting up. Go do the thing, guys. Me and Mako are gonna go take care of that. And then they could have had the same setup. Just instead of having the weird Amon is actually a bloodbender thing. Could have gotten rid of that whole bit. And even if you wanted to have her just randomly decide to go there, she could have met up with Tarlok and being like, hey, yo, Korra, I know Amon took my bending away. I really hate Amon. You should prevent him from taking the airbenders bending away, because he's totally going to do that, like, in an hour. And then it wouldn't seem so forced, because it seemed really forced. That she just decides to go for no reason other than it's the last episode in the season. Honestly, they could have even dragged out the revolution. Like, started season 2, revolution's still going still going on, and Korra retreats and goes home. To be like, fuck, I don't know what to do. I need to gather people to help me. And then she goes and does that, and then it backfires. I'm okay with that not happening, though, because I think Amon can just come back later, and I'm pretty set in my ideas that I came up with 2 days ago. Anyway, he catches them. I'm gonna check the time. Oh, 26. Okay. This won't take much longer. Maybe. So yeah. I think, they have the same fight, they have the same stuff. Amon's about to take the airbenders bending away. Korra's like, oh fuck no. And then, he is about to take out Korra. He's like gotten her forehead is at the ready. But then one of his guys just like grabs him and shocks him. Yo, wouldn't that be weird? I feel like that was a big reveal, but I don't have any big reveal music or anything, and I have no idea what you're thinking. Because what I'm thinking is that guy who shocks Amon is Tano, the Wolfbat leader, team captain of the Whitefall Wolfbats, having lost his bending, sweared revenge, and has decided to take that revenge on from the inside, and been training as a chi blocker. And maybe he's not very good, but he's got a lightning glove now. He doesn't need to be good. And so Amon's like, yeah, you're on security, dude. Or one of the lieutenants is like, yeah, you're on security, dude. And he's like, yes, I can do stuff. Maybe I can push Amon off the stage or something. And so, that shocks him, doesn't take him out, injures him. Faux show. And then Mako makes a break for it with Korra in tow, while Tano is like, yo, I'll hold him off. And he's still not a very good fighter anymore, because his main, when you are a fighter and you know how to fight and then you lose the ability to fight that way, it's super hard to start fighting again. Game of Thrones did that really well, where Jaime just doesn't know how to fight anymore. He can't fight at all because he lost his arm or hand or whatever. This would be the same kind of thing. It's like, I lost my main weapon. I mean, I'm okay. I can dodge and bob and weave and like maybe throw a couple punches, but I'm not very good. Like Asami is damn good because she's been doing martial arts since she was 8. If Tana was that good, it would be really weird because he's been doing martial arts, I guess, but it's been, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, Amon's way better than him anyway, so Amon beats him, but Mako and Korra have enough time to run away and be like, fuck, we gotta regroup because Korra's unconscious and lost her bending. Oh yeah, no, he didn't almost. Mako's about to lose his bending, and then Tana's like, yo, fuck no. You don't take down the Avatar. Yeah, then, stuff happens in the same way. Amon's about to take Mako's bending in that hallway, and then Korra learns that she can airbend still because, she never made the connection, so the connection can never be severed, so whatever, blah, blah, blah. Totally fine. Makes total sense. And she beats the fuck out of Amon because air is everywhere. And she's really like a punchy kind of avatar. But yeah, she punches him. She kicks him out of the window into the ocean, and we see Amon like fading into the darkness of the water. But then his eyes glow, and he starts coughing, and then he's like trying to swim up to the surface, and then boom, he's waterbending. Why is he waterbending? He's not a waterbender. Eric, didn't you say he wasn't a waterbender? I did. Again, I'm doing like things for dramatic effect, but I have no dramatic effect music, and I have no idea your involvement in this story. So if you watched this far, maybe. Anyway, I think that would be an excellent way to say, hey, look, things are changing in the world. You know how harmonic, yeah, I guess the spoilers are true. You know how harmonic convergence just like made new airbenders? Maybe harmonic convergence does more than just creates new airbending. Think about it. Lightning bending was a time-honored tradition, but maybe it wasn't. We don't know. We just know only the royal bloodline can do it, and that the 3 people that we know can do it are Iroh, the Fire Lord, Ozai, and Azula, at least in the first series, and then a bunch of other people later. But maybe that was new. Maybe that's why they were the ones to know about it. But we also know about bloodbending, which, as far as we know, is not a time-honored tradition. It's made by Kama, as far as we know. Metal bending was invented on screen last series, by Toph. What other kinds of bending? There's magma bending, which is new. There's the healing thing, which I guess was also a time-honored thing, but maybe it wasn't. Who knows? And then we don't really get to see the airbenders enough before that. Oh, combustion bending. I did remember. Yeah, that thing that I said I might not remember. I remembered it. Combustion bending. So each of the bending types, other than air, has 2 variations of bending. 2 like brand new things that only some people can do. Yeah, I think that's really cool. And maybe those aren't so old. Maybe those are very new things. And maybe they're new because harmonic convergence is coming. And when harmonic convergence comes, new benders are created. Not just, the normal type, like water, earth, fire, and air. Maybe the other the two other types of bending that each of them has are directly linked. Like maybe they were actually impossible. Like before bending was a thing, bending was impossible. Maybe before harmonic convergence came around, these other types of bending were actually impossible. So the reason you couldn't bend metal is because no one could, because it was impossible. The magic didn't exist. But then as harmonic convergence comes around, Toph is like, yo, I can metal bend. Because she has the capability, because she's now a newly formed bender. I think this would make more sense. And, oh fuck, please don't break. Fuck yeah, the case is still working. Yeah, my phone's fine. What was I saying? Yeah, we can take Amon down in the same way by proving him a fraud, even though he isn't actually a fraud. But when your leader who says this one thing is really bad, and then you see him doing that one thing, you're less likely to follow him anymore, or her, or them. Yeah, and I think that would foreshadow harmonic convergence, because honestly, if we just saw that, what the fuck? I thought he was a non-bender. Everyone said he was a non-bender. How come he's bending? Also, the light in the eyes would be like, hey, weird stuff's happening. Just to be like, hey, he actually wasn't a bender, or maybe he's like the second avatar or whatever. Because that was also a theory I had at one point. When Aang dies in the avatar state and then comes back to life, maybe a second avatar was born, and maybe that was Amon. I don't really like it. Plus, they'd be a waterbender. Yeah, that would be awesome. People would think at the end of season 1, like, oh shit, is Amon a second avatar? Because that would be pretty cool. Even like he wouldn't be, because that would be dumb. Because Aang died in the avatar state, which means, as far as we know, that he doesn't get reincarnated. Which I think is kind of funny that everyone says that. Like, oh, if you die in the avatar state, you die in real life. I mean, the avatar state, the avatar cycle ends. I'm just laughing at my own jokes. That's really why I do this. But yeah, if you die in the avatar state, the avatar cycle ends. But no one has ever died in the avatar state before. So how would you know that? Like, Roku says it all the time. Probably because Kyoshi told him that, because the other guy told her that, because Yin Chang told him that, because the fire guy before her told her that. And it's just like, yeah, this is the thing. We don't know if it's true, but we assume it is, and it's pretty safe to assume it is, and so don't do it. Don't die in the avatar state. I mean, they explicitly say that's what happens, but we don't know. Maybe it doesn't. But yeah, so maybe Amon, maybe we think, because hypothetically, we all know he's not, because he's a fucking bloodbender. But yeah, if my story was to be a thing, at the end of season 1, everyone might think, oh, maybe he's an avatar. Maybe he's the second avatar. But in actuality, it's just it's just a foreshadowing of major events to come later. Just that. Yeah, I think that would be cooler. And then Amon's, beaten in the same way because his legitimacy is taken down, but he's still out there. And perhaps, Shocksticks takes up the mantle of Amon so that he can continue the equalist fight. Maybe Amon is still an equalist. Maybe not. Maybe he becomes a different thing and he tries to find out why he's a waterbender. Ooh, that'd be cool. But yeah, I think Amon should stay alive, definitely, so that he can come back and be the main villain for the series, because I think he was a great main villain for the series. Yeah, that's what I think. Now I'm gonna go talking into other stuff. Yeah, sets up for recurring villain. It's way better than him being brother of Tarlock. Sets up for harmonic convergence. Yeah, I've also actually got some well, at least one cool idea for a weird kind of bending style. It's kind of like Static Shock, but not exactly. It's a firebender. I think it would be a cool character, but probably wouldn't make any fucking sense. At least not in the story. Maybe in another story if they continued using this world, because damn, they really should. Before I continue, something I just thought of: why the fuck do they have such large militaries? Like, there's no military conflict ever, because there are 4 countries, and they realize if they go to war, they'll be at war for another fucking 100 years. Because that's all that's ever happened. They either at 100 years of war or 100 years of peace, or like some multiplication of that. It's either all-out war between everyone or not. No war. Up until now. I don't see why they have such large militaries, except in preparation for all-out fucking war. It just seemed weird that Republic City had such a large navy. I don't know. And it was called the United Forces. Like the UN, but its own country, but helps everyone, but is sovereign in its own right. Doesn't make any fucking sense. But I really wouldn't change that, because wars do happen. Just don't call it the United Forces. How weird would it be going to war with one of the other nations and being from that nation? You're like, hey, I'm an earthbender, but I'm part of the United Forces military, and we're at war with the Earth Kingdom. That'd be weird. You'd have like cousins fighting you or some shit. Like if Bolin joined the United Forces, which he didn't. He might fight his cousin IRL. I still love that joke. It's a bad joke. Anyway, moving on. Oh shit. Yeah. Now is when the trigger warning should come into effect. Holy crap! This has been 41 minutes. All right, I'm gonna go for a little bit. So after Mom takes Korra's bending away, it really seems sexual. I don't want to say the R word, but like an allegory to that. Like he's taken away this thing that's a part of her, has always been a part of her, that she is expected to be a part of her forever until she dies, and it just isn't, because of this guy who took it away. And everyone's trying to help her, but they really don't know how. And so it feels like that. I did say trigger warning, right? Because I started talking about the thing that I meant to. I think I said it. Anyway, I haven't specifically mentioned the words. Plus, it's just an allegory, so far you might not be triggered yet. So yeah, super trigger warning right now. Just know that about the sexual assault, self-harm, and suicide. That was stupid of me. I shouldn't have made that motion. I'm uncomfortable now. Anyway, yeah, it feels like an allegory because it's really strange and super emotional. And now we're going to talk about suicide because she legit considers it. I guess I don't really talk about self-harm other than suicide. But yeah, she legit considers suicide. She's like, she tells Mako, I'm not the Avatar anymore. But at the same time, she still is. And that means for there to be a, in her mind, functioning Avatar, she needs to die. And that's the part where she's looking out over onto the ocean and like cries, and we see a teardrop and she's looking down, and then that drop falls down a giant ledge. Yeah, that could have been her, and might have been if Aang hadn't showed up. But I didn't like that part. I didn't like the part where Aang showed up, because it's just like, hey, remember how you are struggling with this thing? Yeah, never mind. Don't struggle with that at all. You don't need to do that. It's not a thing you need to do. I didn't like that. I thought you should have struggled with it more, because a lot of the show is about Korra struggling, her fears, and not even the negative ones. I mean, yes, the negative ones, her fears and insecurities and like shortcomings, struggling with all of that throughout the series is a big theme. But also her struggling with other emotions like love. Like a big part of season 1 was this weird romance not pentagram, rhombus, a romance rhombus. That's a cool saying. I like saying romance rhombus. It's really fun to say. You should say it right now. Romance rhombus. Okay, cool. But yeah, the weird romance rhombus. That was a big part, and she's struggling to deal with that. And she's also struggling to deal with her fear of Amon, and struggling to deal with the loss of her bending and grief. Her struggling is a big thing. And I think they could have continued that and, empowered her in a way. I don't know how yet, but I'll come up with it for the next review. But I'm at like 45 minutes right now. Anyway, I think they shouldn't have given her a bending back. I think she should have been an airbender for at least the beginning of the next season. And her struggling with being the Avatar, despite not mastering all 4 elements anymore. Like, she didn't even master air. I know Tenzin's like, oh, you mastered all 4 elements. Congratulations. But she really just barely knows how to airbend. She's not a master. She's not going to get her tattoos. I mean, Aang had his tattoos at 13, but he was also bending from the young age of like 5, maybe. So 8 years of bending practice when she's had, a month, 6 months of bending practice. Yeah, I really like that scene. And I think they shouldn't have given her back her bending. I think she should have just been there, considered suicide, cried to herself. It would be a really crappy way of ending a season, but like Game of Thrones does stuff like that, so it's a kids show. But is it a kids show? Because in the actual one, Tarlok does this murder suicide thing with his brother, and his brother even knows. Like, his brother's like, yeah, just like the good old days, and it's like crying. Like, I have failed you and myself and dad and mom and everyone. Yeah, he's like accepted it, which is whoa. That's like he's been a foil to Korra, sort of, the whole time. Sort of, not exactly, but like he's at least like the adversary, and there are parallels in their story. he just like accepts death, and she also accepts death, or was going to, but then didn't. Yeah, I think just ending on that. Maybe not ending on that. Maybe ending on some comeuppance for no. I don't even know what to end the season on. I don't think that the scene at the end, or my version, I don't think the scene at the end, which would be Korra crying on a ledge, I don't think that would be a very good way to end a kids show. But it's my version, so fuck it. Yeah, that's exactly how we're ending season 1. I know it's been 40 minutes. It's like 45 or 50 minutes now. God, I have a lot to talk about. I guess I covered like two big things: systematic oppression and my actual review. So yeah, I paused too much too, and I did that whole chair thing, and now I'm rambling again. Ha! I caught myself. It doesn't help. But yeah, that's how I think the show should end. Amon suddenly becomes a waterbender to foreshadow events to come. Shock 6 takes over for the Equalist, but goes back into hiding. Korra has lost her bending, except for airbending, and has to come to terms with it, though eventually she'll probably get it back. Did I already mention Amon? I think I did. And Mako doesn't follow her, because fuck that. That relationship was dumb and fell apart immediately. And like, she literally said, "Don't follow me. I'm going alone," because she wanted to go commit suicide. But yeah, that's how I think the show should have gone. Let me know what you think in the comments. I don't think I've ever gotten a comment yet. Also, tomorrow is my new show coming out at 8 in the morning, so in like 13 and a half hours and 3 minutes. We're going to be role playing here on the channel and on Twitch. I gotta go make my Twitch account. Alright, have fun. I'm Atypical, and this has been a review.